Okay, so welcome to the registration webinar for the Faculty of Arts. I'm Justin Pike. I'm one of the program advisors in the Arts Student Center. I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nations, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. So this is the agenda for today. We'll go over some registration terminology, choosing courses, how to register, and then resources that you have access to if you need help. There will be time for questions. Just leave those for the end of the presentation. So the first kind of piece of important terminology is the enrollment appointment. All students will have an enrollment appointment in their student center. It's kind of on the right-hand side of the screen when you're on the home page. This is not a literal appointment that you need to book with anyone. It's just when you can begin self-enrolling in your student center. It does not require, again, an appointment with an advisor or anything like that. For most first-year students, the registration dates fall between May 5th and 7th, but you can see your exact day and time in the enrollment appointment there. So some other important terminology, course restrictions. Many courses are reserved for students who are admitted to a particular program or major. They're basically just saving seats so that those majors can get into courses they need for degree progression. They'll always be indicated in the course search with a purple star. You'll also see that they are labeled as restricted in the visual schedule builder. If you want to see specific details about course restrictions, I'd recommend you take a look at this particular section in the course search, because it will tell you the exact date and time that they come down, and it will also show you how many seats are saved and for whom. A prerequisite is just a course that you have to have completed before you can enroll in a given course. If a course is specified as a prerequisite, you have to have a passing grade, which is typically a C-, in that prerequisite before you can take the course. Prerequisites are listed in the course description, and you can also find them in the academic calendar. Anti-requisites are courses that cannot be taken for credit because they're too similar. An example of that is Stat 205 and Stat 213. You can't retain credit for either of those courses, or for both of those courses, because their credit is considered to be too similar. Co-requisites are two courses that can be taken at the same time because the content is complementary. There are a few different elements to courses. So a lecture section is the main instructional component of a course, where instructors usually are lecturing or introducing the new concepts in the course. Labs and tutorials, they're both kind of secondary instructional components of a course. They might be taught by TAs. They're usually smaller class sizes, but you need to actually sign up for both the lecture and the lab or tutorial if a course has a lab or tutorial. Multi-term courses. These are simply courses that run over both the fall and winter terms. The majority of courses are only in one of those terms. If they are multi-term, they'll be identified with an A for fall and a B for winter at the end of the course number. A synchronous course, and this is terminology that's become very important with COVID and when we had to go online. Synchronous just means that the content is being delivered at those on those days and times that are indicated in the system. Asynchronous are components that are not scheduled at a specific time. So they've like uploaded the materials or whatever, and you can look at them at when it's convenient for you. You don't need to be there at a particular time. And then blended just means that elements of the course are being offered synchronously and other elements are being offered asynchronously. And that will be detailed in the course outlines for the particular course, since they can be very specific at times. This is some very important terminology. It's related to registration actions. This is probably going to be some of the most relevant stuff for you coming up. Um, Adding a course, pretty straightforward. It's just adding a new course to your schedule. Uh, the difference between a drop and withdrawal is very important. So a drop just completely removes a course from your schedule as long as you have dropped the course before the drop deadline for a term. A withdrawal, it's the same action, but if you are taking that action after the drop deadline and before the last day of classes, um, in the case of a withdrawal, you won't get a refund for the course and you'll get a W on your transcript. So it's a very different action from just dropping, where if you're just before that drop deadline, you can drop and add courses without any kind of penalty. Swapping is just trading or substituting one course for another. And then editing is what you would do if you want to just change around the subcomponent of a course like a lab or tutorial, but you don't want to touch the lecture section. Related to this is waitlists. So the system has a function that will automatically hold your place in a course if you sign up for the waitlist. If a course is full and there's a seat open on the waitlist, it will just automatically hold you at position, whatever, position 3. If 3 people drop the course, you'll be registered into that course. A really important thing to note is that the waitlist is not the same thing as the shopping cart. So if you just have courses sitting in your shopping cart, like many of you might now, that is not holding your place in the course. It's just sitting in the shopping cart. You have to actually finish checking out the course with the waitlist if course is full function selected. Waitlists also don't guarantee a spot in the course. If enough students don't drop, then you won't be admitted to the course even if you were on the wait list because there was no space. So for choosing courses, since your high school entrance, by far the most important thing is the first year degree guide. The first year degree guide, it'll help you select the courses you take need in your first year. There's no tricks there. So if really one of your only questions is what do I need to take in my first year, the first year degree guide is the answer. It's a absolutely indispensable resource for incoming high school students. So faculty reserve spots, again, I mentioned reserve caps before. Just keep in mind that when you are selecting courses like options and things like that, you want to take a look at some of the reserve caps to make sure that you will be allowed to enroll even if there's space in the course. This is particularly relevant for very high demand courses. Some examples of those would be psychology or a lot of the science courses. Particularly in the case of science courses, there will be some that are totally inaccessible to you until a given date because majors that require that course have priority. Open options, you're going to see when you look at the first year degree guide, a lot of Faculty of Arts programs are very open-ended in their first year. So there's going to be a lot of slots that just say open option. You can click on that in the first year degree guide and get a lot of additional information. All they are freely chosen electives. You can take a variety of courses, again, as long as you have the prerequisites and you're not going to be fighting against a reserve cap. You can take pretty much any courses in those open options slots. Related to senior level courses, so 300 level or higher, normally high school students will not be permitted to take 300 level courses in their first year. You need to complete at least 18 units of 200 level courses, so 6 of them before you can take any 300 levels, which makes it essentially impossible for high school students to take 300 level courses in their first year. This is done intentionally because even if somehow you can technically take 300 level courses in your first year, we generally don't recommend it because university is very different from high school, and you don't necessarily want to jump directly into a 300 level course and then be completely overwhelmed by the expectations. There is another resource on top of the first year degree guide called the academic calendar. It's easily accessible on the University of Calgary website. It's a great just reference tool generally, not just for degree requirements or course listings or anything, but about all university policies almost. So there are a lot of resources available on the registrar's website that can help you learn how to register. Because again, your enrollment appointment, that's when you self-enroll. So you'll be going into the system and completing enrollment. Um, there's videos, there's how-to guides, there's all that kind of stuff on that page. So you can start taking a look at it now to familiarize yourself with the system. Um, it's indispensable. You can also access it through your student center um, and get to that registrar's how-to guides from that direction as well. So when you're in your student center, this is going to be where you do your registration and a number of other things, but we're focused on registration here today. So on the home tab, again, you can access your enrollment appointment. It's highlighted there. Again, exact date and time when you can start registering. Below that, you're going to see your shopping cart and also courses that you're actually enrolled in, which is none at this moment. Course search button and schedule builder button. So you can access it all from that screen. Before you begin registering, you have to first initialize your registration. You can see in the screenshot there, that's what your student center will look like if you haven't initialized your registration yet. And if you try to check out courses before you have initialized your registration, you'll just get an error that specifically tells you that you haven't initialized your registration. And that's just what it means. They want you to confirm your personal information and all that to make sure it's accurate before you can register. The first tool for registration is the Visual Schedule Builder, the VSB. It's kind of a web-based tool that visually lays out your timetable while you're signing up for stuff. It's very useful when you want to see like, you know, the time you have between courses and just how your week will look. Again, we encourage you to begin familiarizing yourself with the tool, just watching instructional videos and such on the registrar's website. An important thing to note is that you can register in both fall and winter terms at your enrollment appointment date. You don't need to wait. In fact, we strongly suggest you don't wait to register in winter courses, because if you try to sign up for winter courses in, say, November, chances are all the courses you want are going to be full. The other registration tool is called the Course Search. It's exactly like what it sounds. It's just a search tool. You search up the course by term, and then you can add them to a shopping cart and check them out. What we recommend is that you use the Visual Schedule Builder to initially build your schedule and register in your courses. Then after that initial registration, if you're going to start making minor changes like dropping an individual course or swapping any of that kind of stuff, that you do it through the course search. The reason why we recommend this is that we found with the Visual Schedule Builder, when students are trying to make minor adjustments to their schedule, it can be easy in the Visual Schedule Builder to do things that they did not intend to do. In the worst case scenarios, we've seen students that have accidentally dropped their entire fall winter registration. So they're left in no courses at all. And at that point, there's nothing we can do because they've dropped all of their courses, and chances are somebody else has already taken the seats, and all we can do is suggest that they try to get back into them. With the course search, there's a lot more prompts to make sure that the system is like, are you sure this is what you want to do? So there's lots of confirmation before you make any changes. There's also a validate function, which is new this year. You can use this to kind of check your shopping cart before you can actually start registering. So you could even do it today to check for any potential enrollment errors. So things like, time conflicts or unfilled prerequisites, that kind of thing. One thing to note about it is it will not check for courses that you plan to take the prerequisite for in fall. So if you plan on taking Stat 213 in fall and Stat 217 in winter, and then you validate your cart, it will say that you're lacking the prerequisite for Stat 217 because this validate function doesn't check to see that you also intend to sign up for 213 in fall. So if you're seeing it give you an error message and that's your situation, that's why you don't need to worry about it, because when you register in 213, you'll be able to register in 217. So for getting help, the first is any registration issues. You can find a list of common registration error messages and their meaning and solution on the registrar's website. If you're unable to find the cause of an error message and you've already looked at the site, you can contact enrollment services advisors to do some troubleshooting for you. Other advising supports include the faculty program advisors, of which I'm one of them for the Faculty of Arts. You can speak to them about course planning, course selection, registration, program progress, and more. For those of you who are undeclared, so arts undeclared students, and you're not sure what major you want, the Student Success Center offers something called exploratory advising. If you just Google UCalgary exploratory advising, the link will come up pretty much right at the top. You can book appointments with them and their advisors who specialize in helping you pick a major. The Student Success Center also offers a huge variety of academic support beyond that, like personalized academic planning, learning support programs, lots of workshops. It's a great resource that we recommend you take a look at. There is also something called New Student Registration Assistance, NSRA. It's not available, or actually it is available starting today. So April 30th to August 27th, via email or Zoom appointments. And what they will help you with is if you're struggling with the registration system, how to navigate it, how to like build a schedule, you can email them or book an appointment with your questions about the registration system specifically, and they can help you with that as first-year students. You can book an appointment with an Arts Student Center advisor at the link there. We also do phone drop-ins, most often from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. And when first-year student registration first opens, we'll also be kind of on all-day phone drop-ins for a period as well. We have an email, artsads@ucalgary.ca. Generally, I recommend if your issue is very urgent that you call, and you might have to hold for a little bit, but you'll get through faster if your issue is urgent than emailing. There's also the virtual front desk. It's kind of just a Zoom that sits open, and you can drop in there and our receptionist can either answer basic general questions, or if you have a question and you have no idea who is supposed to answer it, you can drop in at the virtual front desk, ask your question, and they'll either be able to answer it themselves or they'll direct you to the appropriate place where it needs to be answered.